Well, we're going to look at the 90s television series SeaQuest DSV and talk about the action figures that went along with it. I'm not really sure how many of you out there remember this television show. It only lasted 3 seasons, but it was a very good show. Well, started off, it was a very good show, and the action figures were pretty decent also. Before we get into the action figures, let's talk about the television show SeaQuest DSV. In 1993, NBC premiered the television show they dubbed as Star Trek in the Ocean, SeaQuest DSV. Or for you cool, hip kids in the 90s, we just called it SeaQuest. The show starred Roy Scheider, who is no stranger to the ocean, as he's best known for his lead role in Jaws. The television series followed the adventures of a high-tech submarine called SeaQuest DSV 4600, or is it 4600? 4600, something like that. And it was operated by the United Federation of Planets. The United Earth Ocean Organization. Man, that took me a long time to say. The first episode took place in the distant future of 2018, after mankind had exhausted almost all of its natural resources except what could be found on the depths of the ocean floor. The first season was pretty science heavy and a well-written show, but as the series would go on, NBC kept changing the show, trying to reach a younger audience. This caused ongoing problems with the network and the show producers. Also, after season 1, the show moved production from Los Angeles, California. This caused the show to lose a number of its cast members from season 1 to season 2. Changing some of the cast members isn't the only thing fans saw change in season 2, as the stories got more science fiction heavy, dealing with aliens and time travels and monsters of the week. They even had to fight a giant breathing worm and a killer plant.
Stalked by the ultimate predator. You have to get out of there. How can you fight an enemy you can't see?
One of the main people upset about this change for season 2 was the main actor himself, Roy Scheider, who was very vocal in his anger at the show's new direction. During an interview to promote season 2, Roy Scheider called the show childish trash. He said he was very bitter about it and felt betrayed. This show was not the show he signed up for. Roy's anger with the direction of the show didn't go unheard, as show producer Patrick Hasbro said when asked about Roy Scheider's feelings on the new direction of the show, "I'm sorry he's such a sad and angry man." The changes from season 1 to season 2 to reach a younger audience didn't really seem to help, as a lot of fans of season 1 stopped watching in season 2. Season 2 ended with the crew of the SeaQuest being abducted by aliens and pulled into a civil war. Even with the ratings dropping, NBC brought back SeaQuest for season 3, mostly, as they say, because it had nothing else to fill the time slot. And with season 3, you guessed it, more changes. The first notable change of season 3 was the change of the title. SeaQuest DSV was now called SeaQuest 2032. And they jumped 10 years after the end of season 2. Also for season 3, Roy Scheider requested to be released from his contract. NBC wasn't ready to let him go, but they did reach a deal to limit his role. Actor Edward Carr, who played Brody, hated the season 3 script of the episode Alone, so bad that he walked off set and had to be written out of the episode. It seems the issues with the network and the actors were going to continue for season 3, and season 3 didn't make the fans happy when they fired popular character Dr. Wendy Smith. NBC hoped to bring series 3 back to its more serious tone and felt the character Dr. Wendy Smith, a telepath, didn't really fit into that tone. Also fired from the show in season 3, Chief Orts, leaving the show with only 3 cast members from the first season. Well, the changes for season 3 didn't help the ratings at all, and the show was canceled after 57 episodes. Sadly, with the network keep changing the format of the show season to season, it really hurt the show. If given the chance to be the show it wanted to be, without the network coming in and retooling every season, this show could have been something special for the 90s. But with any hit television show, you have to have action figures to sell. And NBC went to Playmate Toys, who was having huge success in the 90s with Star Trek The Next Generation action figures.
These Playmates figures have a unique feature, which is 14-point articulation, allowing these figures both to achieve the heroic action poses you see here and fit realistically into the tightest quarters of their undersea craft.
Playmates took the same elements from its Star Trek line for the SeaQuest line. The figures are the same size and look very close to the Star Trek line. And like the Star Trek figures, each figure will be numbered on its foot to appeal to collectors. Only 9 figures were released, as Playmates canceled the line after the first series. Sadly, only action figures were released in this line. No playsets or ships were ever produced. I'm sure fans of the toy line would love to have a SeaQuest submarine. However, some ships were planned, as you can see from this 1994 Toy Fair news footage.
Alright, let's take a look at our 21st century underwater craft. This is SeaQuest DSV 4600, the flagship for SeaQuest DSV. Featuring authentic lights and sounds from the television show. There's the power-up propulsion sound and lights. Also has a Sen sonar scan. And it can spring launch a probe, and that's the accompanying sound.
Can you spring those? Can you shoot them?
I'm not sure right now. We've had a problem with the spring. Just shooting it so many times during the week.
Let's look at the 9 figures that got made. First up, we have Captain Bridger, Roy Schreider's character. The figure, like all the others, really have great likeness of the actor. They are really well done. Here's a look at Commander Ford, the Doctor of the SeaQuest, Dr. Z, Lieutenant Commander Hitchcock, the irrepressible Chief Crocker, the overly nerdy Lieutenant O'Neill, and Wesley Crusher. Lucas Wallingskrantz, or however you say it. The only odd looking figure in this line is the Regulator. This is an action figure based on a 1-episode character. And the odd thing here is the picture on the package. They use a picture of the action figure, not the character from the show, when all the other figures shows a picture of the character from the show. Also, there's 2 versions of the Regulator. The first release of the figure came with the word gun misspelled on the package as goon, G-O-N. But this was quickly fixed. At the time of the 90s, this was something collectors would spend hours looking for at stores to find the misspelled gun action figure. And the most popular figure of the series, and probably the most hardest to find, only because it was so popular, was Darwin the Dolphin. No dolphin in television history had been so loved and sought after since Flipper. Overall, these action figures look great. If you like the Playmate Star Trek action figures, and you were a fan of SeaQuest, you would have liked these action figures. They're basically the same. Put them side by side, and they look like they're from the same line. You could really play a good crossover Star Trek meets SeaQuest. I've never seen 2 action figure lines that have nothing to do with each other look so similar. It's kind of odd, but it did leave fans chances to make new Star Trek crew members using the heads from the SeaQuest figures. And that's a look at the SeaQuest television show and Playmates action figure line. It's kind of sad that we never got the show that the creators intended thanks to the network's interference. I'm not usually big on reboots or retools or whatever they call them these days, but I think a rebooted SeaQuest television show could work if they let the creators do what they want to do this time and stop interfering.
Hey, Jumpman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.